Alright, so hi everyone. So we're back in lab 4. In this video we're going to talk about planar, which is on page 7 of the lab 4 handout. So let's have a look at it. It's basically very straightforward what planar is. It's also rare that we use this, but I feel that I need to show you this for a reason, which you'll see in a bit. So let's head on to Maya and let's talk about the planar surface creation tool for NURBS. Right, so I'm gonna get my circles like before, and I'm not gonna bother too much about how this looks like. I'll just do it very quickly. Control D, I'll just bring it up, make it smaller. Control D, bring it up, make it bigger perhaps. Control D, and why not, let's just put another one here, make it a bit smaller. Alright, so I'm gonna loft this guy 1, 2, 3, 4, and I don't really need to do this, but I just want to show you. Okay, so say I lofted that, and you can see that there's this hole at the top. And how do you close that hole? Well, you can do one of two things. You can either close that and it'll be closed, but say you didn't want to do that and you want to just have a nice flat surface on it. We have this surface creation tool in Maya. If you go to surfaces, if you select the NURBS circle for instance, you go to surfaces and say planar. Okay, what it'll do is basically it will create a surface on top, and you'll see that this is my if you can see here, it says planar trim surface. That's basically my plane. It's hard to see, so I'll just select that, and I'll just move it up like that. For some reason I cannot see. Oh, it's down there. No wonder. Okay, let me just undo that. Alright, you see something that you learn something new here. You see that my pivot is down here. How do I bring it up there? Because all this while I was looking at it, and I was looking for the manipulator tool. It wasn't there, so I'm wondering, like, there must be something wrong with Maya here. But turns out that it is actually down here, so my pivot is down there. So how do we change it? Well, you know this from earlier. You can press D and that goes into change pivot mode, and you can move it up, and therefore if you press D again, your pivot is now somewhere along the surface. But say we didn't do that, so I'm going to undo that. Right? So how do I bring it up here? Well, you can go to modify and say center pivot. And what happens, the pivot will jump right in the middle of the surface. Right, so you can see that that's my planar trim surface now. It's basically a flat surface. It's just black. So that's a problem for us. If you turn it upside down, if you look at it from a low angle, you see that it's actually gray. So what does that mean? So I'm going to bring it up here, and I want to show you something. We have this thing in 3D that there is always one right way whereby the face is looking. It means that every single face, every single surface in 3D will have a right way which is it is facing, and this is called the normal. For instance, this surface here, the one below here, it's all pointing out towards the scene, and that's why you're seeing it to be gray. The face inside isn't pointing here. It's there's only one face and it's pointing there, and that's why this is gray. The ones inside is going to be black. Same idea with this guy. This is actually pointing down. I turn it this way, you see that that's gray, and this is not the right way that it is pointing. How do I know this? Well, you can go to display by selecting the surface, go to display. I'll go to NURBS because this is a NURBS surface, and I'll say I want to look at the normals, and you'll see that we have all these hairs coming down now. The hairs, wherever the hairs are pointing, that indicates where the normals are pointing. And just to repeat it again, normals are basically an indication where the surface is pointing, where light will shine on it basically, right? So I want it to point up instead of pointing down. I want all the hairs to go up. So with the surface selected, I'll go to surfaces and I'll go to the bottom here. You'll see there's this thing called reverse direction. As soon as I press this, you'll see that all the hairs are pointing up now. And now we have our face pointing the right way. And I'll go back to display, go to NURBS, and I'll just click normals again to switch off all the hairs. And perhaps I can bring this down back to where it was. So I'll, in the channel box here, I'll enter 0, and you have this surface that is actually covering that hole. Alright, last thing I want to note is if you look at the this function, this planar function, it doesn't actually give you a nice, how to say, a nice enclosed surface. I'll try to hide the circles here by pressing H, and we're just looking at the NURBS surfaces, and you can see that it's not really giving you a nice enclosure. It means that you still have all these gaps. So Planar, as best as it tries to close that hole, it doesn't really do a good job with you know, creating that cap. So it's good to know that we can use it for other reasons perhaps, but if you want to close a hole like this, maybe it won't work. Maybe you gotta trick or be clever with the way you do it. For instance, you could probably produce a rim in here